Wraith by William Toney. Chapter 9. Unraveling the Gang. The following night, Aaron found himself perched atop an abandoned building, overlooking a grimy pool hall frequented by Marcus's gang. The place was dilapidated, its neon sign buzzing faintly, casting an eerie red glow across the sidewalk below. It was their lair, their sanctuary, a false sense of safety that Aaron intended to shatter. Allistor materialized beside him, his form shimmering faintly in the cool night air. "You've already tasted blood," he said, his voice dripping with satisfaction. "Now it's time to dismantle Marcus's little empire. Take them out one by one until he has no one left." Aaron's jaw tightened as he peered through the broken glass window. Inside, a group of gang members lounged around, drinking, playing pool, and laughing without a care. One of them, a burly man with a shaved head and tattoos snaking up his neck, was his next target. His name was Rocco, a known enforcer for Marcus, and the man who had landed one of the blows that left Lilah unconscious. "How do you want to do this?" Allistor asked, a sly smile tugging at his lips. Aaron didn't answer immediately. He took a deep breath, allowing the energy within him to swell. The ability to manipulate shadows, sound, and force was becoming second nature, as if his body had always been meant for this. He closed his eyes, envisioning chaos. "I want them to turn on each other. I want to show them true fear," Aaron finally said. Allistor clapped his hands in delight. "Ah, sowing discord. How deliciously cruel. Let's begin, shall we?" Aaron moved with purpose, blending into the shadows as he crept around the building. He entered through a side door, the rusty hinges creaking softly. The gang inside was oblivious, their drunken banter drowning out any subtle noise he made. He crouched behind a stack of beer crates, his focus locked on Rocco. The man sat at the head of a table, throwing back shots of whiskey while barking orders at the others. "Have any of you idiots seen Cliff since last night?" Rocco growled, slamming his glass on the table. "I told all of you not to go off alone." One of the younger members, a wiry teenager with darting eyes, stammered, We thought he'd come back. He always does." Rocco sneered, leaning forward. "Well, he didn't. And now Marcus is breathing down my neck, wondering why half of you morons have disappeared." Aaron smirked to himself. The seeds of doubt and fear were already planted. He reached out with his abilities, willing the overhead light to flicker ominously. "What the hell?" one of the men muttered, glancing up. Rocco waved dismissively. "Man, this place is a dump. I'm surprised it hasn't burned down." The light bulb shattered, sending shards raining down on the table. The gang leaped to their feet, their weapons drawn. Aaron pressed himself against the wall, suppressing a chuckle. He reached out again, this time causing the jukebox in the corner to spring to life. "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins started to play. "What's going on?" another gang member shouted, his voice trembling. "You idiots, quit playing around. I'm not in the mood," Rocco snarled, though even he didn't sound convinced. "Check the doors. Make sure there's nobody's here that shouldn't be." He moved swiftly to the pool table, knocking several cues onto the floor. The loud clatter made the men jump, their guns swiveling toward the sound. "Who's there?" Rocco barked, his knuckles white around his pistol. Aaron stepped closer, just enough for his shadow to flicker across the wall in their peripheral vision. "I saw something," one of the men shouted, pointing toward the far corner. "There's no one there, you idiot," another snapped. Aaron struck again, this time yanking one man's chair out from under him with an invisible force. The man fell to the ground, his head smacking against the concrete. The chair slammed down forcefully on the man. The loud pop or cracking wood or bone could be heard. "Son of a... What the hell is going on?" Rocco aimed his gun wildly, his bravado crumbling. "If someone's here, show yourself." Aaron made his presence known, not physically, but through his voice. He let it echo unnaturally, bouncing off the walls. "You should have finished the job, Rocco. Now the job has come back to finish you," he said, his tone cold and otherworldly. Rocco froze, his eyes darting around the room. "Who said that?" Aaron stepped into the room's dim light, his features partially obscured by shadows. "I'm here to return something to you. The pain and fear you so freely gave to others." One of the younger gang members screamed, bolting for the door. Before he could reach it, Aaron willed it to open as the man reached for it. The door slammed into the man, sending him flying backwards and landing on the floor. The door slammed shut and locked. "You don't get to run," Aaron said, his voice laced with venom. Rocco raised his gun, aiming it at Aaron. "I don't know who you think you are, but you've made a big mistake coming here." Aaron didn't flinch. With a flick of his wrist, he sent the gun flying out of Rocco's hand. It skidded across the floor, coming to rest at Aaron's feet. The rest of the gang stood frozen, their faces pale. "You think you're untouchable?" Aaron asked, stepping closer. "You think you can hurt people and walk away without consequences?" "Who the hell are you?" Rocco demanded, his voice shaking. Aaron's lips curled into a smirk. "I'm your Reaper." With a wave of his hand, he unleashed chaos. The jukebox playing the song had just hit the drum solo as pool balls flew across the room, smashing into bottles, windows, and even the gang members themselves, as if it was timed to every beat. Chairs toppled over, the ceiling lights exploded, and the very walls seemed to tremble. The gang scattered, tripping over each other in their desperation to escape. Rocco was the last to move, his face a mask of terror. Aaron approached him slowly, savoring the fear in his eyes. "Having fun yet?" he said. Rocco stumbled backward, falling onto the pool table. "Stay away from me!" Aaron raised his hands and the pool balls began to float and spin around him. With the snap of his finger, a single ball would fly toward Rocco. He snapped his fingers over and over again, sending ball after ball into Rocco until he slid off the table onto the floor. Aaron loomed over him, his shadow swallowing Rocco's trembling form. "Run," Aaron said, his voice a deadly whisper. "Run back to Marcus and tell him the boogeyman is real." Rocco didn't need to be told twice. He scrambled to his feet, bruised and bleeding, and bolted out the door. Aaron watched him go, a dark satisfaction settling over him. Allistor appeared beside him, clapping slowly. "Magnificent," the demon purred. "You've mastered the art of terror." Aaron turned to him, his expression grim. "I'm not an artist. I'm a wraith." Allistor's smile widened. "Call yourself whatever you like, my dear Aaron. But I must admit, I'm thoroughly enjoying the show." Aaron ignored him, stepping out into the night. Marcus's gang was beginning to fracture, their once impenetrable unity reduced to fear and chaos. But this was only the start. He wouldn't stop until Marcus himself was standing where Rocco had been, powerless, broken, and begging for mercy. And Aaron would show him none.